Hello. Well, cheers. As usual, I was waiting at the bus stop, waiting for the bus in England, and I was waiting for so long that sometimes when you wait like that, you go into a reverie. And I was pondering whether now, with Trump in power, things will change a little bit in the West. You know, being able to, for once, say what we truly feel, rather than, like, you know, in the last 4 years, being forced to feel what we were forced to say. So anyway, in this reverie that I had, I saw myself at a crossroads with two roads going in opposite directions, and I could choose which one I took. There were two paths. One of them was on the right, was very, very narrow. You could hardly get two people walk along together, or a car. And there were very few people there walking along barefoot, not much luxury at all, walking with great labor. The thing about them was that they kept walking and walking, always looking ahead, never looking back, but very solitary, no amusements whatsoever, nothing. So I said, this is not for me, I don't think. So I decided to go back to the crossroads and take the other road. Oh my goodness, the other road. Totally different. Everyone enjoying themselves. There were shops and restaurants, all kind of entertainment. I said, I think I'll stay here. You know, that popular saying that tell me who you hang about with, and I'll tell you who you really are. Little did I know that that was the road to hell. So anyway, there were all kinds of people there, ordinary people, personalities, film stars, doctors, lawyers, judges, politicians, bishops, everybody. And there was also something confusing. From afar, if you look at it from a distance, you thought that many of them were walking on the virtuous road, you know, the solitary road, the narrow road. But no, that was only from afar. When you actually got close, they were very much also on this road to hell. Later, when I was given the opportunity to ask a devil about them, he shrugged and said, oh, those are the hypocrites, you know. And why were there so many women walking along with them, kissing their garments, I thought. All the way down, kissing their garments all the way down to their heels. Were they kissing their heels, I said. Oh, said the devil, some women kisses are worse than Judas's, you know. But anyway, so that was strange. So anyway, so I'm walking along and find myself right in front of a door. It was actually more like a mouse trap, if you think about it, because, you know, easy to get in and impossible to come out. And someone shouted there, by Jupiter, we are in hell. In hell, I said to myself, can't be. Anyway, so there I was, and I started worrying, crying even, actually, thinking of all those people I had left behind and would never see again. And then I turned my head to look at the world for the last time and saw actually many people that I'd known or heard about or read about coming in the same direction, some of them running, actually. In some sort of funny way, I was pleased I wouldn't be among strangers. Anyway, I went in. And I was in a group, and the group was one of, it seemed to me, teachers and professors and academics. And at this first entrance, there were 7 devils taking our names. And one of them asked mine. And I said my name, and he said, tourist, going, 15 minutes. And another devil asked the first one, how many in this group? And he said, in this group, about 1,000. 1,000 only, he said, as little as that. We normally have so many more of these academics in the one day. So many, actually, that sometimes we're forced to send them back. That's why you're lucky I'm sending you back, he said to me. Because we don't have enough room here. And so we are letting you come in for a moment, okay? So that you can perhaps go back and report in your YouTube channel. I said, oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Devil. I said, I was just trying to be polite, you know, unless he changed his mind. So anyway, I went in through this dark corridor. And this door, and I saw, there was a door, and on this door I saw a notice on it, and it said, publishers, media, PR, propagandists, I suppose. I said, publishers, I said to the devil, can I peek in for a moment? The devil shrugged his shoulders and said, sure. So there was this one man crying, wailing, complaining. Why am I here? Not fair. He was apparently a publisher. Everyone else is here for what they've done, he was crying. Their bad works. And I'm being punished because of other people's oeuvres. And this devil said, zip it, and flamed the flames with all the bad books that he had published, including translations, by the way, and all the bad videos that they had recorded. And I thought, oh dear me, if someone is condemned for other people's works, what will happen to those condemned by their own? I started getting worried. And the devil said, move along, keep walking, keep walking. So I kept walking, and on the next door there was a notice said, justices, lawyers, bailiffs, sheriffs, justice secretaries. I asked, do you have many judges here? And he smirked. He said, oh, a few. Said, we actually love judges almost as much as we love politicians. Imagine, for one corrupt judge, you're going to have 100 corrupt lawyers, and for every corrupt lawyer, you're going to have 1,000 or 5,000 sometimes sheriffs, judges. Oh yeah, we love them. La crème de la crème, a succulent dish, indeed. Peaches and cream judges. Well, I moved on, and the notice on another door read, thieves, bankers, investors, commerce, buying and selling. That's what it said. Judas was there. I couldn't help it. I asked, can I just say a few words to him, please, please? Go ahead, the devil guarding the door said. And I went straight over to Judas and said, it's only right that you are here. I just couldn't help myself. Fancy selling our lords for 30 pieces of silver. Scoundrel. And he looked surprised. How can you say that? He said. You benefit you benefited from my deed, didn't you? It was because I sold him that then he was put to death, and so you could be redeemed. If it hadn't been for me, it would have been someone else anyway, he said. There are many people here who are worse than I, you know. Worse than you, I said. Never. Oh, he said, you would be surprised. You see, I sold him once. I admit that. Not for much money, by the way, because I figured that if I had asked more from the Pharisees, perhaps they might change their minds, so I just sort of settled for what I thought I could get. But others, I sold him once, but others sell him once, and then they buy him back to torture him again and whip him and crucify him again, and then sell him once more, and then they buy him again, and again they do this. So, stop complaining, he said to me, just go along, keep walking. He said, oh, you will find many people who are much worse. You will find it somewhere else. Okay, so what was funny was that among all these money lenders and brokers and investors and what have you, there was this one woman in the middle of them, amongst them, I should say, complaining about her being in the same room with all the thieves. She was complaining. I heard her saying, why am I here with the rest of you scoundrels? You are here because you took and you stole something that was not yours. And me, I am here because I just simply gave of myself to all and sundry. I say that is different. Anyway, she was complaining there, so moving right along. Another door with the name scientists, astrologers, New Age gurus. Oh, I saw scientists there, squatting with pieces of papers on the floor, papers and pencils, and they had rulers and compasses and triangles and things. And trying with all kinds of different, interminable, impossible to understand equations, trying to prove that God didn't exist. And how on earth to disprove all those idiotic people of faith, how to convince them that he didn't exist. Well, I shouted to them the first thing that came to my mind, you know. I said, faith is love, not science. It's the first thing that came to my mind. I'm not a theologian, you know. But then there were others saying things like, had my mother borne me 1 minute before she did, I would not be here in hell, because a minute before, Saturn and Mars were changing positions. The scorpion would have lost its poison, and I would have been a beggar instead. And another was asking the devil porter if he was absolutely sure that he was dead. I can't be, he would argue with the devil, because since he argued that he had Jupiter on the ascendant and Venus in the house of life, and nothing there could be bad for him. But anyway, it was actually even written that he would live to be 100. So he was saying, please, he was saying this to the devil. He said, make sure that I am in fact dead, because as far as I can see in my science here, that's impossible. That's what he was saying to the devil. There was another door, because I had to move right along. I would have loved to spend time with them, but I couldn't, you know, only 15 minutes. So there was another door that said, so-called so-called Vestal Virgins et al. And you know that when I picked in, I saw that these Vestal Virgins actually refer to, more often than not, to those women who appear before Congress, you know, every now and then, when there is a confirmation or a nomination taking place for some office, you know, Supreme Court nominee or Secretary of the Justice Department, or anyway. And these women who suddenly appear, until then Vestal Virgins, and they start you know, reporting on what happened. You know, oh, he threw me against the wall against my will, and he grabbed me, you know, and all that. Well, I didn't really take much notice of that. I know that these things happen. Oh yes, they do happen, but I've come to realize that when they appear in Congress complaining about what had happened 30 years ago, there is a possibility that they are not necessarily complaining about what had happened, but recalling nostalgically that day long ago when that might have been, when that might have happened, when that long gone day when they might have been deflowered, and anyway, and now here they are, and that was past, and they can't recover that, and it can no longer be. And the et al. I saw referred to other female personalities and old women who find it difficult to accept that they're no longer spring chickens, as it were. Yeah, they no longer have that luscious head of hair that they once had, and they always say that that is because they had some illness, and they no longer have those original teeth, and they say that it's only because they ate too many sweets. And they have wrinkles, or well, they'll find something to say about why they have wrinkles. They never seem to accept that they're no longer 20. Another door read, if only. If only. What was that? If that meant, if only I had done this, if only I hadn't done that. Okay, boring. Okay. Another door said, God is merciful. Oh my goodness. God is merciful, I said to the devil. These people shouldn't be here. Oh yes, said the devil, but you see, they did whatever they wanted and then forgave themselves, saying, oh, God is merciful. God will forgive me. Well, I said, well, shouldn't we hope for God's mercy? That's not bad. Ah, well, but here is the rub, the devil said. You can hope for God's mercy, yes, because he'll help you in your good intentions and even reward your good works. And by good works, I don't mean cathedrals or Trump towers or real estate. No, he said, but he won't help you if you are using him as a means to cover your own wicked deeds. Oh, he'll forgive me because he's merciful. No, no, no. You don't deserve it then if you turn his mercy into an excuse to keep on living the vida loca. That doesn't work like that. Anyway, another door read, unprepared due to sudden death. Well, some people do die suddenly. That's not a sin, I said. Oh, the devil said, physically, yes, but unprepared? No. all in life tells you that we are going to die. We all know that. Even your clothes, your miserable clothes, remind you that things get old and have to pass. And your house and the car gets first in need of repair, and then you have to sell it and get something else because it's no longer, it's old. And think of insurance. All that insurance that you bought. No. The devil said, it's not that you died unprepared because you died suddenly. It is that you died not accepting that you would die one day. That is why you were unprepared. In another door, I saw pharmaceutical enterprises, doctors, food growers, sellers of produce. I thought, oh my goodness, doctors. And I said, the poor doctors, all they do is to try their best to heal us when we're ill. You know, first do no harm and all that. And food growers, oh, this is really unfair. They work so hard in the fields, you know, to feed us. From sun up to sundown they work. How can they possibly be punished? Alchemists, all of them, said the devil. He was so cynical, I tell you. Couldn't believe it. He said there were real alchemists once, you know, people who tried to turn gold into, who tried to turn metals into gold. But these ones tried to turn everything into gold, not only metals. Flies, manure, gold from scorpions, poison, toads into gold, even plastic bags into gold. They do cost a pretty penny nowadays. And they use all manner of herbs, and they don't care which ones, you know, no difference to them whether they're dealing with parsley or nettles or hemlock. They just put everything there. There were so many doors, I can't possibly tell you about all of them. Just to say that there was at the end of this very long corridor a sort of a quadrangle with many doors around. And it said, the first door said, Justice of God. That's the main door. And then the others, as you enter in, there were many doors, and one read, Shameless and Proud Vice, and another read, Ignorant and Ungrateful Malice, and another, Resolute and Blind Unbelief, or Disbelief, and another, Beastly and Foul-Mouthed Disobedience, and another, Insolent and Tyrannical Blasphemy. And it was full of blood, this blasphemy, barking with 100 mouths and poison flowing with their eyes. It was terrible. I was so frightened then. And the devil explained to me that these were for heretics, past and present, he said, the ones before Christ and those after Christ. Yeah. And I said, oh no, that's not fair, because the ones before Christ, the pagans, you know, they didn't know. So it was not their fault, you know, that they were born centuries before. So how could God possibly punish them? And the devil said, oh, they didn't know him. That's true, said the devil, but they knew surely about right and wrong, right? And I saw, my goodness, starting from really, you know, way back, the Cainites, the followers of Seth, Dositheus himself. Dositheus was a Gnostic, lots of Gnostics actually. Dositheus, he was burning in a cauldron because he thought that he should live his life only according to the flesh. And there was Zadok and the Sadducees and the Helionostics, venerating frogs, one of Pharaoh's plagues, and the Masorists, whose translation of the Old Testament is the basis for quite a few new Protestant translations, I might say, and the ones who worshipped the Acaronite fly, Uzziah, who would rather ask a fly than to ask God for good health. That's what he said, I would rather ask a fly. And Elijah punished him, quite rightly. And then he became a leper, I think. And then there was Astar and the Astaroth and Moloch sacrificing children, or children being sacrificed to him, and those worshipping Raphaim, an astral deity associated with Saturn. Yeah. And so many of them. And after Christ, oh my goodness, I saw Simon Magus and his disciple Menander, a magician, the founder, they say, of Gnosticism, leader of the Simonians, and Saturninus or Saturninus, and Basilides, founder of the Basilidians, the Gnostics, expounding nonsense all about, and Nicholas, the founder of the Nicolaitans, a group of Christians who rejected God and embraced all manner of immoral practices. They would say that God did not expect you to follow any moral law. Just like that. They went as far as that. Practice all kinds of sexual immoralities, and they were proud of it. So, when the devil pointed them out to me, he said, so don't be surprised if we who have to supervise here, if we grow larger than large tails around here. Anyway, they used to eat food that had been sacrificed to the idols, associated with the followers also of Balaam, who taught the Jews to sin, and Carpocrates, and the Carpocratians, who taught that matter was evil and true knowledge came only from esoteric secret knowledge given only to a few. They rejected that the world was created and said that Jesus was a Gnostic too, and believed that they could achieve freedom by having and enjoying every possible experience here on earth, including sinful ones, claimed to communicate with evil spirits, all kinds of things. And there was Cerinthus too. He, don't know whether you know about it, but he had founded a sect of Jewish Christians who ended up repudiating both Judaism and Christianity. And they hated Christianity, but for some reason they hated Judaism even more. Above all, that was another Gnostic sect. And they ended up saying that the world had been created by angels, and one of them, the worst one I suppose, had given the Jews what they call, insolently, they called it the imperfect law. That's what they said. And they went on to translate the Old Testament to suit them and their beliefs, butchered it, in fact. And then they move on to the New Testament, and they translated that too, but they didn't like very much about it either, so they changed it too, to the point that they got rid of all the Gospels, except the one by St. Matthew, and even that they started changing things about, and so you have the Gospel of St. Matthew starting with Jesus at Capernaum. Anyway, and the Ebion and the Ebionites, people who pretend to be poor. Ebion comes from the Hebrew word Ebion, which means poor. They rejected the divinity of Christ, all kinds of things. and of course Valentinus and the Valentinians. Tertullian says that they were Gnostic sects, and like all Gnostic sects, taught all manner of filth. His words, all manner of filth. The secrecy, he said, the secrecy with which they guard their doctrine, like all Gnostics, is a secrecy that betrays their guilt. And then there was Menander, the youth from Samaria, went about saying that he was the Savior, and he said that he had dropped from heaven, just like that, with straight face. And then there was Montanus, his follower, who testified that he, Menander, was the Paraclete, all kinds of things. Okay, so what else did I see there? Well, Nepos also was there. He was a bishop. He said that there would come a millennium of lascivious luxury, meaning sexuality, upon the earth. He refuted the book of Revelation with a book of his, which he called Promises, changing it to say that at the beginning was Nepos himself. I mean, basically he changed his mitre for a straw hat, I guess. Okay, and then there was Sabinus, a follower of Arius, and in of the Arian heresy, okay, and in the Nicaea Council, he started shouting at all the bishops who refused to go along with Arius, and insulting them, calling them idiots and all kinds of things. And then I saw a group together. I didn't know who they were. They looked like the Templars to me, but it wasn't sure because the Templars. But the Templars had been so holy, in Jerusalem. But I know that then they started to get rich, and with riches comes idolatry. It kind of follows. I'm not sure whether it was them. And then as I came closer, I saw more recent ones. The ones that you heard of, But time had kind of run out, and the devil wouldn't let me talk to them or anything. And I said to him, just quickly, please, one quick question. If only you could let me see the real bad people, real evil people of my era. And he said, no time, sorry, I know what you mean, he said. I know you're going to ask for Hitler and Stalin and, the dead ones. But there are many evil ones living right now, he said. We are expecting them at any time. And I can't tell you the names, but I whispered 2 or 3 names to him. I can't tell you because they're still alive, and YouTube, the fear of the fairest, might not like it. But the devil laughed when I mentioned the names. He laughed out loud. Oh my goodness, what a laugh. And he said, you really don't know anything, do you? And I said, well, I know a little about a few things. He said, you know nothing at all. And he told me to get out. And as we are walking out, he said, what you fail to understand, because you're a moron, he said, is that evil people come to hell for sure. But, and this is an important but, which you haven't figured out yet, and I'm doing you a favor by disclosing it to you so that you can tell your fewer and fewer YouTube followers. And it is this. Often, more often than you think, we can trust people to be evil enough. And so, but a lot of the times we can't. And so, because they will not be as evil as we want them to be, for many reasons, which I won't discuss with you, he said, what we do is we, ourselves, devils, big and small, all of us, disguise ourselves as humans to do the evilest of all the evil, wickedest acts that evil people, normal wicked people, can't bring themselves to do. And so, you see, we are amongst you, and you don't even know it. And I wanted to ask about some people, and so, he said, out, and he kicked me out, so I couldn't even ask. And he didn't answer about those 2 or 3 I had whispered. So, anyway, I thought I would tell you about this reverie of mine. Thank you very much, and cheers.